Welcome, Power fans, to the second episode of the West Bend Power Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll sit down with head coach Jason Woods and get to know the man leading your West Bend Power this season. We'll also take a look back at the epic series against the Granite City Lumberjacks and take a look ahead to this weekend's series against the Oregon Tradesmen. All right, please welcome to the podcast head coach Jason Woods. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so head coach, director of hockey operations for the team, owner, rink manager,
Yep.
youth coach, youth advisor?
No, skills coordinator for the youth hockey.
Skills coordinator. Did I miss any other hats?
Probably somewhere in there was one or two, but it's all good.
Which one of those roles consumes the majority of your time?
I mean, obviously, general manager of the rink is the priority and the number one thing, and then coaching the power after that, and then the skills is just something I like to do to keep the kids moving forward here and understanding that skills are a vital part of hockey. So they're all important. There's a priority level to all of them, but yeah.
Sure. Depends on the time of day, right?
That's for sure.
At 9:30, it's probably the power after the practice.
11 is power, 5:30 a.m. to 9, and then after 11:30 is the rink and skills.
All right, fair enough. All right, we're gonna play a little game here. We're gonna call this the podcast Face Off.
Let's go for it.
So I'm gonna ask you. Looks like 8 rapid fire questions. You're gonna answer them the best of your ability.
All right.
We ready?
Give it a shot.
All right. What did you want to be when you grew up as a kid?
An NHL hockey player. Didn't quite work out at 5'7".
Can't change that, right?
Yeah, nope.
What was your first job?
Jeez, my first job might have been Hardee's or McDonald's. I'm not sure which one was first, but it was definitely a fast food restaurant involved.
Fast food. What is your favorite movie to quote?
Oh, jeez. I mean, it's got to be Step Brothers.
Okay.
Or Field of Dreams, one of the two for sure.
Okay, what would be your favorite quote from those movies?
I'm not going to say for Step Brothers. We're going to avoid
Fair
that.
enough.
And then Field of Dreams is his heaven, obviously.
There you go. Nope, it's Iowa.
Yep.
What's your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Okay, well, coming up.
Yep, it's coming up.
It's your favorite time of the year then. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, I just did it with my daughter Taylor the other day, and it's Celine Dion. My Heart Will Go On. We kill it out there. So, yeah, she's the leader of the band, but I back her up well. I back her up well.
All right, fair enough. Do you have any collections? Do you collect anything?
No, not really. I obviously have a baseball card collection, football cards, hockey cards. Those are sitting in the basement now. They're honestly too expensive to go through now. So,
yeah.
I got a lot of them.
Okay.
I would have had a lot more, but I left them out in the room one time, and my mom said, if you leave them out, they're going to be gone. And sure enough, some of them were gone. So
called her bluff.
Those were the ones that are probably worth the money.
You called her bluff, and she called your bluff.
She won.
All right. And a favorite cartoon or cartoon character?
Favorite cartoon character? Well, I'm a South Park guy. So,
okay.
I like Kenny. Poor guy.
Poor Kenny.
Yeah.
Awesome. Favorite TV show to binge watch? You binge watch anything lately?
Jeez, my wife hates it. Any 80s show.
Okay.
She hates it so much. Yeah. Who's the Boss?
Growing
Family
Pains?
Matters, all those. Well,
Okay.
Family Matters was like 90s, so 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
And she just hates it.
TGIF, right?
Yeah,
Full House.
for sure.
Awesome. All right, well, that'll wrap up our face-off segment. So now we got to know a little bit about Jason. Let's talk about how you got involved in hockey and what was your experience as a kid playing hockey and growing up through hockey. Did you have a dad that coached? Did you have a dad, grandpa, anything?
Well, it's weird because 1980 is the gold medal game are really the answer to that equation. Obviously, everybody watched it, everybody knew about it. I remember sitting in the living room upstairs of our house watching it, and the irony of it all is that somebody came to Holy Angels, and we were sitting in a room with, 8 to 10 boys in the entire class, and they just kind of played a video from it, and we all went home and said, we want to do this. And I think literally, it's hard to say exactly, but 7 or 8 of the 9 players that we formed a team for Washington County at that time were literally Holy Angels kids. So maybe that number's a little bit off,
Sure.
But that's the reality of it. And, we're playing outdoors at Regner Park, and, people don't understand what it took to play hockey back then. It was if you think it's a commitment now, I mean, we didn't have ice till late November. It was gone by Valentine's Day, and in between there, we would go to Waupun practice. We practiced at State Fair Park, So it was a commitment that didn't go unnoticed, to say the least.
So you were shoveling the rink yourself, and
every practice, you shovel it. But it was even more than that. Like, my dad would make the ice, so literally we would be, I would go out on the pond. So I was skating for 2-3 hours a night.
Okay.
I mean, that was the beauty of it, is that we had the pond on the other side, and you were always skating.
Yeah.
We even had to skate just to get from the warming room to the rink. So it was a great experience.
Okay. And so you played all the way through high school then?
Yeah, I actually played for UW Oshkosh's club team for a little while, and that was a great experience. It really was a experience of you probably knew where you landed and should have been. D3 hockey really wasn't what it is now.
Okay.
There wasn't nearly as many teams. It was weird because we would play D3 teams, which you probably would never see a club team now play a D3 team. And so we played MSOE, we played Lawrence, we played, Marion, and then we would play Iowa State and Penn State. I remember vividly playing Penn State. So it was a weird experience. We had a pretty good team, though.
Any accolades? Did you win any championships?
No, nothing that I can remember. I mean, it was just something you did.
Okay.
Probably took up way too much time in school and things like that. So that's probably why I wound up here.
So you grew up in this area. You played hockey in this area.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I started. This is where I'm ending, really. Yeah. I mean, it's the place where I played. It's the place where the first game I ever coached. I remember coaching in a suit, a tuxedo, for my sister's wedding back in the day. I went to her wedding, came back, coached a game right here in this building, and then went back for the reception. So, I mean, this is home, no question about it.
Okay, so you were a part of the rink becoming what it is today.
I mean, I don't know how much I was a part of it. They did a lot of work. I mean,
Sure.
There's a lot of dads like mine that were a big part of and even moms that were a big part of putting this on. I mean, if you knew where Washington County youth hockey came from, to have this building is uncommon and just special, because it really shouldn't have been here. We didn't have a lot of kids playing. Yeah. We had eight. I coached 8-player teams here back as early as the 90s. So, it was just a different era, and those kids could play all day, and they never came off the ice and things like that. So it was different. So to have this building is pretty spectacular.
Okay. So you mentioned coaching. Did you go right from playing into coaching?
I mean, I was literally still at UW Oshkosh and coaching.
Okay.
Come home. I mean, unfortunately, probably hockey consumed me. At one point, I was playing for the club team at Oshkosh, playing for the Anago Jesters in the Great Lakes Hockey League, and coaching here. So it was a little bit of overkill, to say the least, in the hockey aspect.
Yeah, hockey was definitely your life, and
I mean, we
clearly still is.
We even went down to the Wisconsin State Hockey League for adult league at 18, 19. So we were playing on way too many hockey teams at that point. So yeah, a lot of hockey.
All right. So you've coached at all levels, youth all the way up to now juniors. Is that fair to say? High school, everywhere in between?
Yeah, I mean, I've touched probably every level. I mean, back in the day, I started at mites,
Okay.
right? And then it was I don't know if I ever, well, with my kids, I certainly have touched every level for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go through your coaching resume then. I mean, avoiding the youth, obviously, you've coached at Brookfield.
I coached high school career started at Brookfield.
Okay.
1 year JV, and then the head coach the following year, and was there for a few years. After Brookfield, I actually was part of the process of starting Ice Force, which is still around and still active. It was kind of a weird thing because they had a JV team, so I really kind of coached the administration on how to do things, buses, and the proper way to do things in the high school world, and then took that over for a couple of years and started a job, and then that school wanted me to coach girls, and I was like, well, I don't know if I can do that, but I had some great guys. I had a great athletic director, Rick Johns, who, whatever I asked for, he did, and how could you turn him down? I was driving to Kenosha, Wisconsin for practice,
Wow.
And then driving all the way back to West Bend, Wisconsin to live. So it was a huge commitment, and it took a load off being at work and being able to do that. So won the state tournament with them, and then after that year took over the boys program and won that in 2019. We had a great team. We had great coaches, and former coach John Mitchell was on my staff. Coach Roadhouse was on my staff, and now it's kind of like, last year was getting to know the Power a little bit more as they played in our building, and then obviously Coach Mitchell got a great opportunity, which you can't pass up, and nor should he. And this just came about, and it's great to work with Matt again, and it's really been Jeremy. I didn't really cross paths with Jeremy at USM, but he was there, so he knew all that I knew and things like that. So we knew each other, and obviously him and his role as a GM, he's been, top notch, and his coaching acumen is growing every day. So we're very fortunate to rework with that small group.
Yeah, getting the band back together,
so to speak.
That's awesome. So obviously the Power came to West Bend last year. They've had, we've covered this a little bit, but a little bit of turnover, moving rinks. This is their third move now in the 6 years that the team has been around. What has the Power meant to the Kettle Moraine Ice Center, to Washington County Youth Hockey? What has bringing that team into this community really meant?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that everybody in our community really knows yet.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about West Bend community, but also our own Youth Hockey Association. It has been a home run. It's been, it's been a financial gain for the rink, no question about it. It's hard to sell ice from 9:30 in the morning to 11. They do that. It's hard to sell ice in September. We played. This will be our 6th home game coming up here in the month of September and early October. Generates income that's just not sustainable or not there if the Power aren't here. And then really it's the involvement of the kids in the association. I mean, we have 4 to 5 to 6 Power players at every single practice. It allows those coaches who can't do the drills, who set up the practices, who set up my skills nights, things like that can't really show the kids, and you've got somebody there who they can look up to and idolize. And I don't think that the association itself really realizes how much time, effort, and energy those kids are putting into their kids. And it's really special and important, and I think it's going to be a match made in heaven, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, watching the kids after the game, during the game, as the players are coming out onto the ice and getting fist bumps and signing autographs after the game. And, I think it's a really cool experience for the kids, having that player to look up to and, thinking that they're a star. And then the same thing for the players to be like signing autographs. I mean, these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids signing autographs, and it's a pretty unique experience, I think, both ways.
I laugh all the time because it's, there's at least 3 kids that must have everybody's autograph on this team 25 times, and they'll be back on Friday for number 26. So, it's a great atmosphere. The people that are behind the Power here at West Bend in this association, I think they're having a great time, and I think they appreciate the things. we just got to keep getting the word out to everybody that, hey, this is here and it's here to stay, and we put a pretty good product on the ice too, I think.
I think that definitely reflects in the record.
Now.
We don't want to jinx anything, but the Power's off to a pretty good start this year. Obviously, in your first season, exceeding expectations, right where you thought you'd be.
I mean, you can't think you're gonna go undefeated, and we don't think we're gonna go undefeated forever, right? I think when you look at Oregon, Peoria, and then Granite City, the defending champion, to be 5-0 is probably not something anyone thought.
Sure.
You know, but we were fortunate, got a couple bounces, got a couple breaks, and we're in this position right now, and it's a good place to be starting off here. But you know, everybody wants to talk about last week. Well, I'm already moved on 24 hours later to the next week. So I've never seemed to be on the same page with some people about what they want to talk about, because I got to move past that, and the record's 0-0 every weekend.
Okay, so after you go to bed, you're back to 0-0.
It's film and figure it out, and you know, call Jeremy and call Matt and say what do we need to work on, how do we get better, and go from there.
Awesome. Got pretty good expectations for the season. I mean, obviously, the goal is always going to be a Fraser Cup, and where do you start? Is it just next week? Let's look at Friday.
It's just continually getting better. Okay. Like, the one thing that has impressed me with this whole group is just their ability to come to practice and compete every day. We talked about it. Talk is cheap, you know. They compete every day in practice. Like, it is full pace, full speed. It's fun to be a part of. We don't spend very much time in an hour and a half not doing something. They work, and you know, the results are there. You know, our hard work is the reason we won 2 games last week, and it'll be the reason we win in the future. So it starts at practice and just continuing to get better and better every day. And if you do that, the wins will come.
Yeah.
You know, but there's going to be days where you step on your own toes and you start the process all over again. So we try to avoid those as much as possible.
Yeah, for sure. So you got a pretty big roster right now.
Yep.
How many kids right now in camp?
It's 31, 32. They all blend together. You know, one's here today and they're in the North American the next day. And you know, Adam Prokop was here for 72 hours and then got another opportunity, and we couldn't kick him out the door fast enough, right? So he's headed to Alaska for Minnesota Wilderness.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
breaking
that's what
news.
we do. That's breaking news.
Breaking news on the podcast.
That's what we do. We try to develop in advance, right? And we shake hands with them and say, when you need to come back, and hopefully you never come back. You know? So that's the reality of the business here in the NA3.
Okay, but when you do, the door's open, and we'll gladly have you.
For sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
So you've got 31, 32 kids. Do you expect a lot more moves throughout the season? I mean, you mentioned that this is the NA3, and you know, fortunately and unfortunately, players are going to move up. They're going to come in. I mean, do you think that there's a lot of room for improvement with this team, or are you feeling pretty good with the core group you've got?
Oh, no, we feel very good about the core group. But, I mean, that's this league, is you're not ever going to not take the opportunity to be better, right? So whether that comes or doesn't, I have no idea.
Yep.
That's Jeremy's department too in a lot of ways. He's scouring, figuring it out, watching film, doing all that, and doing a great job of that. But, you know, you can't sit back and just say, this isn't high school. There is free agency, there is trades, there is all of that stuff. So you have to utilize all the avenues you have to continually get better. So do I think we're going to sit like this by the end of the year? No. You know, eventually we have to go down to a 25-man roster. That's going to, you know, change things right from the get-go. But, you know, we at some point you got to make a decision here on what you're trying to do. We're not in that position right now. We're in a position of growth and development, and then we'll figure it out later. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you think that with your schedule set up the way it is, we've got a lot of home games early.
Yep.
We're going to be on the road here. Do you think that this team is going to transition well to being on the road, or do you think that that's something they might struggle with?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out Saturday.
Saturday.
Right? I mean, it's different buildings, different experiences, right? Like, you pretty much know what you're going to get here. You have, you know, somewhere between 400 and 800 people in the building, depending on the day, and you have a loud crowd that's excited about you, and then there's places where we go, there's not that many fans. And how do you self-motivate yourself? Like, how are we as a team going to motivate ourselves on the road is an unknown right now. So I think we'll be fine. Yeah. I think we'll answer the bell, but we'll find out more, I guess.
Yeah, Saturday. So Friday night, we're here at the Kettle Moraine Ice Center. It is girls hockey weekend or girls hockey night. Girls youth players will get in free. Welcome the ice links to the rink. Anything else going on this weekend?
I mean, there's always stuff going on. It's just one thing after another, but it's a great opportunity. I mean, I guess I would say if you haven't been to a game, come watch one and see if you get hooked, because we got a lot of people in the stands that have never watched a hockey game before in their lives, and now they're a weekly occurrence. We've got a great base of fans, but there's plenty of room for more, and when you're here and you feel the excitement and you see that, it's a great place to be. And this weather's not going to stay 87 degrees, so we might as well get ready for the cold air weather and come on in here, because there's no wind chill in the building, so we got that going for us.
Yeah, remember that in January when it's
right.
30 degrees below. It's still the same temperature in here.
You got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today, Jason. It's been a great pleasure getting to know you. Looking forward to a great season. Again, Friday night, 7:30, right here at the Kettle Moraine Ice Center. And Saturday night, heading to Oregon, both games against the rival Tradesmen. Looking to take 2 more from them after they took us out of the playoffs last year.
That's right.
No repeats.
Sounds good. Appreciate all the time.
Thank you very much, Jason. Last weekend's series against the Granite City Lumberjacks was one to remember. The reigning Fraser Cup champions rolled into West Bend in their custom bus, looking to build on their 2-1 record. The Power had other plans. Friday night, almost 400 fans packed the Kettle Moraine Ice Center in what was sure to be an instant classic. At 11 minutes and 48 seconds, Tegan Shire put one in the net to put the Power up 1-0, assisted by Zach Wolverton and Odin Kleba. At the end of the first period, the Power find themselves clinging to a 1-0 lead. Granite City would even up the score at 1 at 7 minutes and 29 seconds into the second period. The score remained tied heading into the third period when the fireworks were about to begin. At 11 minutes and 50 seconds, Granite City pulled ahead 2-1. Sensing the shift in momentum, with about 8 minutes to go, head coach Jason Woods called a timeout to bring the team back together and refocus on the task at hand. Shortly after, rookie Carter Dahl was released from the penalty box after serving a 2-minute penalty for checking from behind. The rookie was able to score his first NA3HL goal, assisted by Michael Millette and Rocco Cicerello. Thanks to an epic performance by netminder Gavin Woolmacher, the Power ended regulation tied at 2. After a 5-minute overtime period, the score was still tied at 2, and to a shootout they headed. After the Lumberjacks, Ashton Erickson started the party with a goal for Granite City. It was Bryce Garber's turn to answer for the Power.
Not big cheese, guys. It's not big cheese. Sorry.
With the shootout tied at 1, the Power turned back to goaltender Gavin Woolmacher to shut the door. After stopping Granite City's Hayden Johnson from scoring, it was Andrew Butler's turn. Andrew Butler came up short, and we went back to Woolmacher, who stopped another shot from Granite City's Finn Greeley. Game on the line, it was Cole Fenske's turn. Cole came up short, and we were headed into extra shots. After Jack Luco scored, the Power turned to Tegan Shire to answer. After Woolmacher shut down Granite City's Tommy Woods, the Power turned to Captain Connor O'Neill. What an exciting victory for the Power. The fans went home happy, and the players got to bed and got ready to come back the next night and do it again. Friday night's Versafoam hard-hat hardest worker of the game was Carter Dahl, thanks to his late third-period game-tying goal. The boys showed up to the rink Saturday, still buzzing from Friday night's shootout victory over the reigning Fraser Cup champs. Saturday night's game saw the return of veteran and fan-favorite goaltender Adam Prokop from the Lone Star Brahmas of the NAHL. The Power didn't wait long to get on the board when Liam Fraser scored his first goal of the season. First period ended with the Power up 1-0. Just under 5 minutes into the second period, the Power found themselves fighting off a third consecutive penalty kill. Shortly after penalty kill, Granite City found the back of the net thanks to Ashton Erickson. With the score tied at 1, head coach Jason Woods tried another timely timeout with 8 minutes to go in the third period. This sparked a rally from the Power, and Captain Connor O'Neill put the team up for a second night in a row. Adam Prokop shut down Granite City for the remainder of the game, and the Power found themselves walking away with a sweep from the defending Fraser Cup champs. Saturday night's Versafoam hard-hat hardest worker of the game was Owen Drake. Friday night, the West Bend Power will be celebrating International Ice Hockey Federation World Girls Hockey Weekend by welcoming the Oregon Tradesmen to the Kettle Moraine Ice Center. The Tradesmen are coming off a 2-game sweep of the Wausau Cyclones in their home opener. Oregon's only loss on the season was at the hands of the West Bend Power in the Power's home opener 3 weeks ago. Power sent the Tradesmen packing with a 9-1 loss. The lone goal in that game was scored by forward Tyler Stewick, who has scored a point in all of the Tradesmen's games so far this season. The Power will turn to Captain Connor O'Neill, who scored both go-ahead goals in the weekend series against Granite City. Puck drop Friday night is at 7:30 p.m. at the Kettle Moraine Ice Center. Last week's Power Podcast question of the week was, what player scored the last regular season goal for the West Bend Power in the 2022-23 season? And the answer is Captain Mike Delaley, scoring his overtime goal in the last regular season game against the Oregon Tradesmen. Here is this week's Power Podcast question of the week. What player has played the most games for the Power franchise in their 6-year history? Email your answers to westbendpowerpod@gmail.com for a chance to win a Power t-shirt. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the Kettle Moraine Ice Center, and let's go Power!